The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA Network, and welcome to our review show here of WWE Summerslam 2023 from August 5th at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan, in front of 59,194 fans. I'm one of your hosts, Karlifornia. This is Jooseyboy. How are you doing, bro?
I'm not doing too bad. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I've just finished day 4 of a 4 days straight out of 5 doing 12-hour shifts. So it's been a hard knock, but I'm doing well now that I have the opportunity to talk about this show with you here, bro. SummerSlam 2023. Overall, bro, were you happy with the show?
Yeah, I'd say that I was overall. General observations as well. Commentary more bearable these days. That's a continuing trend. Very good crowd for tonight's show, in my opinion. Here in Detroit at Ford Field, and they still spend too much time on the entrances, in my opinion, as a nitpick. But overall, very happy with it. Yes.
I agree too, and I also think that, as I've said before, plod along too much between matches with all the bullshit. I wish they could cut that out. Remember back in the day, a pay-per-view would be like, okay, match happens to open the show, match ends, there might be an interview backstage, then there might be a video package for the next feud that's, the next match that's on the show, and then the match would happen. It would just be like quick and snappy. Now it's like this overbearing long thing with adverts and product placement and Sheamus driving a monster truck and all that crap. Anyway, let's get on with the show. The opening matchup here on SummerSlam 2023, Ricochet takes on Logan Paul. Jooseyboy, take us away. What were your thoughts on the opening match?
Okay, well, I thought this was a good choice to open the show with. It was what we expected. It was the high-flying highlight reel type of match that I think everyone expects to see out of a match between these two, with the added flair of Logan's star power and the sort of the added sense of danger around like what would actually happen if this big time celebrity gets totally fucked up trying to do one of these stunts. So I thought it was a pretty good way to start off the show. As I said, I gave it a B+.
Very nice, bro. Yes, I thought it was fantastic, to be honest. And I think, I don't know what anyone else out there thinks, but this is the biggest match of Ricochet's career here. Singles match against a, huge celebrity wressler, Logan Paul. This match went 18 minutes. So I went actually a little bit longer than I expected. I expected maybe 12 to 13. So they got given a lot of time. And it was cool to see, Ricochet get the chance to, I guess, showcase himself at a big time event like SummerSlam in front of 50,000+ people. I did love the finish with the Nux. I thought Logan did need the win here after he did lose to Seth Rollins recently-ish. And I can't remember what else he was in the Money in the Bank ladder match as well. One thing I want to say, Logan Paul's leapfrog, unbelievable. The amount of height that guy gets on his leapfrog. Very good. And I think the right man won here, as I said. Logan, although he does need to work on his running power slam, it came across like a backyard wrestler. But everything else very good. I think they should put Logan against LA Knight next. I think if Logan's going to have another pay-per-view match coming up soon, LA Knight getting a victory over him might be pretty cool. And the promos between the two would be good. And I was also impressed with Logan Paul looking at the hard cam and using those facial expressions. He really came across like a cocky bastard. Good stuff. Let's move forward, Jooseyboy. Second matchup on the show, 17 minutes, 35 seconds for this one. Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar in their feud-ending match. I think I've got like 5 notes here, or maybe it's 6. It's 5. So another banger from these two and a great way to finally end the feud, I think, Jooseyboy. I was really impressed with Cody's selling. It gave him such sympathy with his selling. And I just can't believe how much I dig him these days because he's being presented right and it's not forced. And he's going through hell and back right now. And I like that for the character. I like the story of Brock trying to get him counted out. I thought that was a great way of telling that story of Cody not wanting to give up. It's the biggest win of Cody's career. The handshake and hug afterward is the first time I've seen Brock as a character do that. And I think it was really important to do that because Brock's been nothing but a bully to Cody. And now he's kind of, giving him, the nod of the head here that, you know what, this guy was the better man on the day. I wonder where they both go from here, though. I would not be surprised if Brock retires at WrestleMania 40, to be honest, because what else is there for him to do? Who else is there for him to work with? I know there's a plethora of young guys coming up. A Bron Breakker, Brock Lesnar match might be pretty cool. Gunther and Brock would be pretty cool. We'll see what happens with Cody, though. So I'm sure something's happening with him and Roman again at some point soon, but I'm sure we'll get there when we get there. Juicy Boy, what did you think of Cody and Brock?
Well, I'll tell you right now, my friend, I really enjoyed this classic territory style David versus Goliath wrestling match. That's what this was. There was a sense of Brock Lesnar in a way coming full circle in his career, coming out of this match, in the sense that it seemed to signify Brock stepping out of his role as the dominant force in WWE, and perhaps for the remainder of the appearances we see him it'll be in more of a legend legacy type role rather than being sort of a top player. I feel as though we've watched him transition out of that phase with the conclusion of this match. This obviously had flavors of a classic Dusty Rhodes underdog babyface performance, but it also had the echoes of Brock's dominant performance over John Cena at SummerSlam in 2015, where he suplexed the living shit out of him and pretty much dominated him entirely. This one gets a Juicy Boy recommendation. Go out of your way to check it out because I can't do it justice. I gave it an A-.
Very good, bro. And finally, after all this time, you got the point correct. The perfect hand in the perfect direction in the perfect part of the screen. Well done. Maybe I'm coming back around on the Juicy Boy recommendations. I mean, I hated them for a long time because you kept getting the point wrong. But now you know what, I'm back in the saddle with them. Okay, Juicy Boy, let's move forward here. We're coming up with the Slim Jim SummerSlam Battle Royal. 11 minutes 55 seconds for this Battle Royal. What did you think of this one here, bro?
Okay, this is the kind of Battle Royal that we need to see more of in WWE and probably wrestling in general. This match, being a Battle Royal, was used to further several issues that were already going on in the middle and lower card of the roster, as well as showcase some underappreciated talents on the roster, Chad Gable being perhaps the prime example that stood out in this Battle Royal. This was, of course, ultimately a vehicle to give LA Knight the big win that the fans have desperately been wanting him to have, and anoint him as a soon-to-be top guy. I think that basically served, that was kind of the ultimate goal of booking this Battle Royal, but then along the way they used it to have a very fun little match that sort of pushed forward a number of other things going on the roster. So I thought that this was an old school traditional style Battle Royal in the good way. I gave it a C-. I thought it was pretty good. It's a risky move putting a Battle Royal on a show like this, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I had no problem with it. Obviously, it was put in place simply to appease people that they haven't forgot about LA Knight. The thing is, he's got over, but they're telling other stories right now. And they can't just insert him into the main event picture because people want it. There's stories that need to play out first. I don't have a lot of notes on this one. Unfortunately, I had to write my notes after having watched the show, not whilst I was watching. So kind of hard to remember certain things, but worried that guys like JD McDonough and Cameron Grimes have been brought up to the main roster, where they have a hard enough time giving stories to a lot of people. that are on the roster, because Cameron Grimes always had a really good story at NXT. He always seemed to be doing something fruitful. So hopefully they don't waste his potential. I wish someone would tell Riddle that he looks like a fucking Nancy boy with those plaited pigtails. I don't like it. He already looks weird enough without shoes on, without boots on, with his little pants. He's like whatever colors, he wears different colors each time. I just think he looks a little soft with the pigtails in the plaits. But anyway, not much else to say about it. I did like the pop for Knight's win. He deserved it. And I'm sure he's going to get something nice coming to him very, very soon. Let's move forward again, Juicy Boy. We've got an MMA rules matchup here. 7 minutes and 30 seconds this went. Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey in what I believe is Ronda's last match in WWE. I believe so, from what I've read. But then again, the dirt sheets could be full of shit, as we know. I've got 4 notes, not much. It's a tough stipulation to get over. I think that this should have just been a regular match, because I think an MMA style doesn't work in a WWE environment, especially on a SummerSlam where people are looking for, the excitement and the drama. I just feel like MMA style doesn't help with the drama if it's worked. If it's true, real MMA, then yeah, like it does get over in that way. But this was worked, and you could tell it was worked, and that's just me. Maybe other people think differently. I'm sure Ronda would have been adamant to put Shayna over here. I hope they don't waste that on her and that she doesn't do anything from here on. But I'm going to throw it to you, and you let me know. Look, the match was okay, but I just thought something just wasn't clicking because of the stipulation. So I'm going to throw it to you, Juicy Boy. You let me know what you thought of the match, but also, now that Ronda is gone, I want to know what you feel about like what her legacy is left behind here from her stint in WWE.
Well, I actually enjoyed the match itself. It's obviously not the most exciting match in the world. It's not going to set the world on fire, but I think it's the kind of match that Ronda Rousey is best suited for in terms of doing worked matches, because it allowed her to focus on stuff that she's naturally very good at and naturally incorporate it into the match. I also enjoyed the fact that even though they called it an MMA rules match, they didn't go overboard in terms of putting a cage up or having cornermen or doing all this other kind of stuff. Like, they had the ref go over the rules to clarify that rope breaks and pinfalls weren't going to, and countouts weren't going to be valid like they normally would in a pro wrestling match. But other than that, it was just the regular ring and set up the way that you'd normally see, but they just followed this different set of rules that were tailored to the backgrounds of both of these competitors. So I like that, although, it is a little kind of unnecessary to make it an MMA rules match at all. Like, why not just make it a no holds barred match?
Spit it out. Yeah.
Or submission match. I like that Shayna got the big win here. I agree with you that was probably something on the insistence of Ronda. If Ronda is going to stick around, I think it needs to be part of her character that she prefers to perform under these kind of rules, because it'll draw heat, but I also think it'll allow her to play more to her strengths. I gave the match a C, my friend. What do I think of Ronda's legacy overall in pro wrestling? I think that it's a mixed bag, really. I think that there have been occasions where she's just been really on that particular night, and she's knocked it out of the park, and there's been a real electricity and a real charisma from her. And then I think there's been other occasions, probably more occasions, unfortunately, where she has come across as being uncomfortable and like just unnatural in the ring. And now it's been like several years of her being a part of WWE, even though she's never been a full-timer. And other than brief flashes in the pan, I don't think she's ever really acclimatized to it. I still believe she's quite capable of it, but I don't think that her heart is really in it as far as like loving it.
Right. Yeah, I kind of feel like it was exciting at first, but then it wasn't as she didn't seem special anymore. And I don't know. She's, she was always like either the champion or whatever. And I feel like honestly, I feel like WWE kind of dropped the ball in the storylines that she was given. There could have been so many stories that could have been told with her. And I just feel like the content that she was given wasn't very good overall. Sometimes it was okay. Like, some of the stuff with Becky and Charlotte was pretty cool. But other than that, like, I would have loved to have seen her just be a real badass heel and just be a bully and just, I think that would have been really cool. But I feel like we never really got to see that. Just like hints of it here and there. So I think she's done well, but honestly, after about a year, it wasn't as as special anymore. Let's move forward though, bro. WWE Intercontinental Championship up next. Gunther, the champion from Imperium, with Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. Taking on Drew McIntyre here. 13 minutes, 40 seconds. Jooseyboy, take it away.
Yeah, I think this was a very good match. It's the kind of match that I expected it to be, very physical, very knockdown, drag out. Again, very reminiscent of an old school British match when things would extend past the boundaries of the rules and into fisticuffs. That's the vibe that you get with these kind of matches, these European style matches. I don't think that the chemistry equals the kind of chemistry that either of these two guys have in the ring with Sheamus. And I don't think that the chemistry here equaled the chemistry that was in their triple threat match at WrestleMania early this year. But I still think that they have good chemistry, and I think that it was a very solid match, which I gave a C+ to.
Very cool. I thought, this was another Gunther banger. He's killing it. He's doing very well. And I'm really glad that the IC title seems to be on every pay-per-view at the moment, because there was a long period of time there early in his reign where you never saw it represented on a pay-per-view or a PLE. Don't really have much to say. I enjoyed the match. 2 notes though. He's 32 days away from beating Honky Tonk Man's record. I know it's probably it would be a hokey thing to do, but I would love to see Honky Tonk Man suddenly show up and try to fuck Gunther over, this very serious character be fucked over by this Elvis impersonator type character. He's an old man now, but try to fuck him over before the reign ends up beating his long-standing title reign. I think it will be hilarious, and we might be able to see a different side of Gunther. That's just a little idea I had. Because if it were me, if this were real, if I was Honky Tonk Man, I would be like, over my dead body that this happens. Send out any fucking cunt. And also Drew McIntyre, bro. Okay, quick little sidebar. His position in WWE now. Do you feel like he's kind of a bit fucked at the moment? Because it's like the main event is busy. Now he's putting over the Intercontinental Champion. What do you do with him at this point? Does he need to turn heel? Does something needs to change with him, I think. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily averse to a heel change, but I don't necessarily think that I would say that he's effed either, because I think there's nothing wrong with, a wrestler kind of moving up and down the card throughout their career. I think that Drew McIntyre is the type of wrestler that he had his big moment at WrestleMania and his moment with the championship. Some people argued it was underwhelming. I don't think so. I think he did a great job, particularly given the circumstances that he was presented with at that time. And now that he's achieved that level, I think that he's in a position where he can comfortably drop down lower to chase after a mid-card title, or chase after the tag titles, or chase no championship at all and really be more of a character-based performer. He's in a position where he can do that, and I don't think it'll harm his status as being kind of an upper echelon guy on the roster at this point. I do think that he's been minted with that brush. He's not perhaps like a top guy in the fans' eyes, but he's kind of at the same level where Sheamus is, where sort of he's credible in any role that he is in at this point. So I don't think it's necessarily something to worry about, but I do think that he does need maybe a fresh opponent or something like that. Like, send him down to NXT, send him to, just do something with him that's maybe, because he's been tangling with Sheamus and Gunther and the IC title picture for, the better part of a year, it seems like. So maybe let's move him away from there. And
yeah, I just think they maybe need to just try and tell a different story with him. Maybe get him into a real personal feud with someone. I know they did the thing with Karrion Kross, but I want to see something where I see some different sides of the character. That's just me. But anywho, let's move forward, bro. WWE World Heavyweight Championship for the next matchup. Seth Rollins defends against Finn Balor in a match that goes 18 minutes and 30 seconds. So hang on, yes, I'll let you go first last time, so I'll go first this time. I've only got 3 notes. I really did not have time for this. I wasn't into the last match at the last pay-per-view. You were right about there being no heat on it then, and I felt like there was still no heat on it now, no matter what they're trying to do and how they're trying to sell. 7 years ago, Seth injured Finn's shoulder in with the buckle bomb onto the barricade. Even with the story with Priest in the briefcase, it still didn't grip me, despite the drama of the finish being quite fantastic, with Rollins overcoming the odds of the Judgment Day. I liked all that stuff. They really kind of got me when Finn hit the coup de grace and he still kicked out or whatever happened. But for me, again, I don't know. And this World Heavyweight Championship is new. Obviously, it still doesn't really mean anything as far as I'm concerned, because, it's a new title. I felt the same way about the Universal title. Like, why would this mean something if it doesn't have lineage? So sometimes I feel like this world title's a mistake, but then again, Rollins needed something. So I don't know, maybe do a weekly open challenge for a while or something. Make it the most competitive world championship going in wrestling today. Let's do something like that. I don't know. I just want to see something a bit different with this title from the outset anyway. But again, the match was good. I just wasn't really into it. Juicy Boy, what did you think?
Yeah, well, I like the fact that they didn't ignore the previous match that caused the injury to Finn Balor 7 years ago, because back in the Vince McMahon era, they definitely would have ignored it in such a feud. So they didn't. I think that does make it slightly more worthy of getting invested in. This match is in a difficult spot because you've already got Brock versus Cody. You've already got Tribal Combat. And you've got Logan Paul versus Ricochet. So this match here, which could have fit into either the spot fest of the evening or into one of the main event positions of the evening, is kind of being pushed out of all of those places it would normally occupy on the card. And it does feel like, oh, fuck, there's still this to go when you get up to it on the card. This was definitely a big high spot fest. It was perhaps even more so than Ricochet and Logan Paul, because in Ricochet and Logan Paul you saw a lot more footwork and a lot more kind of direct high flying, but this had a lot more kicking out of stuff and sort of a lot more indie style work. It's guilty of some of the many things that I've called out on other shows and in other companies. Too many kickouts, too many devastating strikes that would kill a person in real life. too much overkill, etc. But all of this stuff was being done by two veterans with very good technique, very good ring awareness, and who are very athletic. So, in spite of the fact that it went overboard, the match was still impressive, and there were times where each guy really shone. And I did like the added intrigue to the match with the Money in the Bank briefcase and Damian Priest. I gave it a B minus, but as you said, it was kind of the match that was just sort of there on the card. I feel like Finn Balor, it's unfortunate he's been kind of cursed lately to be in that position on pay-per-views.
Yep, no, I get what you mean. And coming up next though, bro. Again, this was another match where I was like, oh, I forgot about this. Because at this point, as I felt before Seth and Finn, I was like, I just want to get to this main event. And I feel bad for these two matches because I was just like, oh god, okay. WWE Women's Championship, Asuka defending against Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair. The match that went 20 minutes and 45 seconds. Take it away, Juicy Boy.
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult to your point, like these shows go for so long, but I because I skip all the entrances and stuff, I managed to kind of keep myself awake. But this was a very good match. Like, this is possibly the best triple threat match in the WWE women's division up to this point in history, like in terms of just the pure execution of it. I say that because they did an excellent job of keeping all three people involved and keeping the crowd guessing as to who would win, because normally when Charlotte's involved in a championship match, it's sort of an FGC foregone conclusion. When at the beginning of this match, that's kind of what I was thinking, but as it went along, I think that they did a great job of actually keeping me guessing. In particular, I think that the finish was very good because I thought Bianca did a great job with that injury angle that they did, which led to her being trapped in the figure eight at the end of the match, at which point I was kind of groaning and thought, Charlotte's going to win, only for Asuka to come back, poison mist in Charlotte's face. Asuka ends up retaining. Holy shit, didn't expect that to happen with Charlotte, the golden child, being in the match, but I was pleased about that. And then, boom, here comes Shotzi cashing in.
Hang on, whoa. Hang on. You've made a couple of mistakes there. Bianca won, Asuka did not retain, and it was not Shotzi, it was Io Sky.
Yeah, you're right. Let me back it up. Because I'm getting lost in the whirlwind of like what I was experiencing as I was watching it in real time. You're right. So when Asuka sprays Charlotte in the face in the figure eight with the thing, I was like, oh my god, Asuka's actually gonna fucking get this. She's going to retain. Okay. Before I know what's even happened, okay, the KOD gets hit by Bianca Belair, but I'd literally glossed over that moments ago because when I was actually watching this match, they'd done such a good job of hooking me that I was like hooked into it, so it was kind of a whirlwind that I was caught up in. Anyway, Bianca ends up retaining. Before you even get a moment as a viewer to process that, Shotzi's already coming out.
It's Io Sky, not Shotzi.
How am I getting it confused?
Shotzi's a completely different person. She's chick that had the green hair, shaved her head. Io Sky is in Damage Control with Bailey.
The pirate one, right?
The pirate? That's Kairi Sane, you idiot.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, so anyway, she comes in, she cashes in the woman's Money in the Bank. The crowd seems to be really fucking into it. Damage Control is out there celebrating in the ring. The commentators are going nuts. I thought it was a good moment. I ended up giving the triple threat match itself a B+. And shout out to the 450 onto Charlotte doing the figure eight. I thought that was awesome as well.
That has to be a short. We're gonna have to put that up as a short. You just constantly getting everyone's name wrong. Kairi Sane hasn't been in WWE for like 2 years or something.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god, dude. Okay, I don't have much to say here, but I feel like I've seen triple threat matches like this over and over again. So it did not interest me much from the outset, but it was very good. I just felt like though it was there for me, and I felt impatient for the main event. I don't think it needed to go 20 minutes. I think maybe 15 would have been fine. Again, also to echo your sentiments, the 450 onto the figure 8 flush, loved it. And also props to the ladies with the drama again at the end. I was livid when Bianca won the belt back, and then I started skipping, but then I saw that there was an attack, so I had to go back and to see Io Sky, not Shotzi or Kairi Sane,
Yeah.
but Io Sky, she cashes in and she wins the championship. And to me, what a breath of fresh air having somebody different hold the belt instead of the same old guard. We've seen kind of the same ladies, kind of exchange that belt over the last few years. Asuka, Charlotte, Bianca, Sasha Banks, Becky, etc. One question I've got, actually, before I say that, I'm happy that Damage Control aren't breaking up and they're going to keep it going. I know my mate Kev hates that stable, but I like the fact that I'm seeing a stable have longevity, like the Judgment Day, like the Bloodline, because they always seem to have a habit in WWE of breaking up stables too soon. And the only other question that I have is, what does Charlotte do? Where does she go from here? She's achieved everything. I said this in the last review when she was on the show. She's achieved everything. Her character's neat. I think she needs to kind of reinvent herself a little bit. I don't know what she needs to do. I kind of just feel like, what do you do with her now? She's 14-time world champion. Do we need to see another reign from her? Because it's time for these younger ladies to maybe start moving up and taking those spots. What do you do with her now? I mean, I'd retire if I were her, bro. I work backstage as an agent. What else is there to achieve? But maybe maybe she still likes wrestling. I don't know. But for me,
Yeah,
I'd be bored by this point.
I think, well, I mean, I don't know. Like, some people just love just having matches, like everyone's different in the way that they approach.
But what stories can they tell with her now? What else is there to tell of her story?
Well, I don't know, bro. I'm not a writer. I
You're a
can't
dick
really
writer,
think
though.
of much. I think, yeah. I think...
Okay, bro. I'll stop picking on you. But okay. Before we get to our main event, I have other questions. You don't need to give me any thoughts on this. I just wanted to throw these out there for anyone out there who's watching. Maybe they can give me, or you can give us your comments down below here on YouTube. I feel like, number one, Rhea Ripley doesn't seem to be doing a hell of a lot with a title reign. She seems to just be flanking Dominic and helping out the Judgment Day. I see that there's no real story there with her. US title, again, not defended on a PLE. Austin Theory's just in the Battle Royal. Yes, I know he's got a thing coming up with Santos or whatever, but it's another pay-per-view where it's not on the show. Again, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn was like one of the hottest things of the company. They're not on the show. Tag title's not on the show. What's going on there with the tag division? Two more questions. What is Edge doing? I know he had a thing with Grayson Waller on TV, but what's he doing? Not much time left in his career. And where is Lashley? That's all I wanted to ask there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I WWE, they still have a problem, even though in the Triple H era, like the post Clash at the Castle era of WWE, the company still has a problem with talent disappearing, and being gone for, like, AEW, they have the problem as well.
They're bad with it too, yeah.
They're bad with it too. But it's kind of more noticeable in WWE because of the way that WWE tends to hitch themselves to a certain character for a while, and then that's who all the steam is behind, and that's who the promotional resources are behind. So it's noticeable when all of a sudden Bobby Lashley isn't even being talked about on TV, when at WrestleMania this year it was considered a a travesty that he wasn't in a major match, and he was given the standing on the stage with the trophy as a consolation prize, and the fans let the company know that they thought that that wasn't good enough. And but yeah, where is he? So yeah, that is something that they've been bad with, that I continue to notice.
Yeah, and just those other things as well. But anyway, bro, let's get to the main event of the evening. WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, the Tribal Combat match here. Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman at ringside against Jey Uso. 36 minutes, 5 seconds. I actually was able to write some notes as I was watching this. I won't read all of them out though, because I probably wrote about 40. But I did pop for some things. Roman in the promo video saying, do the elders know about this? Things of that nature. Jay mentioning it's a tribal combat match. Another little note. I think Roman's theme song is seriously a masterpiece. I really dig it. I think to myself, as this match begins, where does the story go from here? And I was impressed with Roman Reigns controlling the crowd with facial expressions and mannerisms. The great thing about this angle and these main event matches of this angle is the outcome just hasn't been something I could predict. It's always filled with drama. I wasn't sure what was going to happen each and every time that we got to our main event where Roman Reigns or the Bloodline were involved. I like Reigns setting the pace, but there's the comeuppance with the kendo stick. And Jay fighting for his life. Great somersault over the top rope to the outside. It made sense. It wasn't for the sake of it. Great drama with the super kick and the splash. You knew Roman would kick out, of course, but it's all just building to that eventual crescendo. We have part 1 and part 2 with Heyman and Jay arguing at ringside. Paul is hilarious, saying he's your family. He's crying. It's ridiculous. The Samoan through the table, great teasing before finally executing that move. They finally brawl into the crowd. Here comes Solo Sikoa, the badass. Here we go. He ends up hitting the Uranagi through the table on Jay. I love that there were just random cords and papers on this unattended lone table. That popped me. There was a fan right near there that was just popping the shit out of me. This is a real fan. He was screaming, Jay, you got to get up. You got to get up. Solo, don't do it. Jay, don't listen to Roman. No. Way overboard. Love it. That's exactly what my friend Daniel Bonner would do if he was at ringside. Just taking it like it's actually real. I love it. This is becoming a handicap match. I'm expecting Jimmy at any moment now, but he's taking a while, and it's starting to make me think, oh, what's going on here? I thought to myself, imagine Jacob Fatu showed up, man. It's a disappointment that that's not going to happen. But the spear to Solo as they went for the spike and the spear at the same time. Loved the stare down between Roman and Solo after that, where Solo was pissed off with him and Roman was questioning that he was going to be turning on him. But then Solo telling that story again, Jay splashing him through the announce table like Solo did to Jimmy. We're seeing comeuppance happen there. Very cool stuff. Roman goes through that barricade that might have snatched Solo out of his rage. Then obviously Jay gives Solo a rebuttal, as I said. It looked like Jay had it in the bag, bro. It looked like he had it in the bag. Pulled out of the ring. There's a guy with a hood. I'm like, it's Jimmy. It has to be Jimmy. It has to be Jimmy. And it was. And I was like, man, that's where we go with the story. Of course. This is what we've been probably waiting for nearly 10 years. Jay and Jimmy to go at it together. So what a swerve. Not a swerve for swerve's sake. And then the spear through the table that cut it in half. Great call from Michael Cole. He was really disgusted. It sounded like he was disgusted. Reigns retains. And I loved Jay selling his grief after the match that his twin turned on him, Juicy Boy. There we go. Juicy Boy, your turn. What did you think of the main event?
Yeah, well, I think if I could just pull on my fucking notes. There we go. Okay. So for maybe the first 15 minutes of this, I was quite bored, to be honest. I was beginning to get worried that it was going to be same as, previous chapters in the Bloodline saga. And I was sort of getting worried in the early going that I wasn't going to be able to rate it in this review as highly as I had the other chapters in the feud. It did pick up steam though, beginning at around the 20-minute mark, and it really kicked into high gear for me once Solo Sikoa appeared in the match. It's okay. It's a double-edged sword having Jimmy appear and turn on Jay. Here's why it's a double-edged sword. On the good side, it gives Jimmy a more meaningful role in this storyline, as you have already suggested. Because as you've mentioned in recent reviews, he's been kind of the afterthought in this whole Bloodline situation. But the bad side of the sword is that we kind of all have known that this has been happening. Like, I remember all the way back at the very beginning of this storyline, when Jay had the very first championship match against Roman Reigns, which led to the formation of the Bloodline. I remember when that was still playing out, thinking that Jimmy's going to be jealous that Jay's the one getting the title shot. Now we're several years later on, all this has transpired. Jay ends up getting the big championship main event again, coming out with this flash new ring gear, with this new flash new lay around his neck, that matches his new ring gear, and he looks the part. He's there for the biggest match of his career. And Jimmy's just not even involved. Even his younger brother, even Jimmy's younger brother Solo is still out there by Roman Reigns' side. Remember, it was Jay as well that had to convince Jimmy to come round to the good side and leave Roman Reigns behind. And for what? For Jimmy to still stand there and watch as his brother gets all the glory. So I imagine that is kind of going to be the motivation that they go with for Jimmy turning on his brother Jay. So as I said, it's kind of good and bad at the same time, because it's a good move, but excuse me, all the same, I think that it's kind of a predictable move too. It's something that you maybe could have even done sooner than now. But at the same time, I'm kind of willing to see like where it plays, where it goes from here. I thought that Solo as well did an outstanding job in this match. I've been singing his praises for quite some time now, but I really think that he has the benefit of having studied his older brothers as well as his dad Rikishi. And he's learned from them really well. He fits in really well with this modern WWE style, this current day way of booking matches that the WWE has. So I ended up giving Tribal Combat a B-. It's not the greatest Roman Reigns match of this championship reign, but it was still very good.
Very, very nice, bro. Very nice indeed. Well, there we have it. We're finally at the end here of our SummerSlam review. But before we go, Jooseyboy, before we go, gonna need your rating out of 10.
Okay, so SummerSlam 2023, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I thought that it was a very solid show. There was 2 very good main event matches, anchored by another 2 or 3 very solid high-grade matches, and this had a real major league feel to it. SummerSlam for the past 3 years has essentially been a true companion to WrestleMania, in the sense that you have WrestleMania and that'll always kind of be in its own class. But SummerSlam feels like now the second biggest show of the year, or maybe the biggest show of the second half of the year, is a better way to start thinking about it. It really had that kind of atmosphere to it.
Very nice, bro. I will echo those sentiments. I was also thinking an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed the show, despite there being a couple of matches that I was a bit like, but you know, in the end, those matches ended up being pretty good. I think my favorite moment of the show, though, was when Shotzi and Kairi Sane both cashed in to become women's champion together. That was definitely the best part of the show, don't you reckon? You're a dickhead, mate. But I love you. And I want to thank you, Juicy Boy, for taking the time to watch this show and review it with me.
Yeah, no worries, mate. It was a good bit of fun, eh?
Yeah, mate. And thank all of you out there for joining us here on the WZWA Network for our SummerSlam 2023 review. I'm Karlifornia. This is Juicy Boy. And guess what? We'll see you down the road. Thank you.
And I'm now trying not to laugh at the situation.
So
like,
because now his Uber, now you're about to laugh at him.
No, because now I feel better, right, physically, and I'm just. WZWA Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. WZWA Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. WZWA Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.